As a student in the 70s, I was fascinated by the biblical studies of Michael Goulder. So my book off the shelf today is Midrash and Lection in Matthew, published in 1974. It brought together three important ideas: Midrash, Lection, and the relationship of the first three Gospels. The Gospels of Matthew, Mark and Luke are clearly related because there are passages which are word for word the same in all three Gospels. And Matthew and Luke also share common material, like the Lord's Prayer and the Beatitudes. Many scholars think that Mark's Gospel was written first, and that Matthew and Luke had access to Mark's Gospel. Matthew and Luke had access to another source, which they call Q. Michael Goulder didn't think there was such a document as Q. Matthew had access to Mark's Gospel, and Luke had access both to Matthew and Mark's Gospels. But in that case, where did Matthew find all the other material that makes up his Gospel? Goulder thought Mark's Gospel was a lectionary, a series of readings for each Sunday, Mark's for half a year, and Matthew's for a whole year. The Jews had readings for their synagogue services, so why wouldn't Christians want their own readings? To demonstrate this, Goulder had to construct what he thought was the Jewish lectionary at the time. Goulder also thought Matthew was a rabbi, and like today's preachers, rabbis sought to reveal the wealth hidden in their scriptures and reconcile the scriptures to the new things that were happening. So all the material not in Mark's Gospel, Matthew made up. But he didn't just make it up. It was revealed to him from a close study of Mark and his own Jewish scriptures. All this involved a great deal of detailed word-by-word study, and at the back of the book, Goulder has a list of words and how frequently they appear in each Gospel. Michael Goulder lived a fascinating life. He went to Eton and studied at Cambridge, then went to Hong Kong where he was ordained a priest, and then went back to Oxford where he studied under Austin Farrer, to whom Midrash and Lection is dedicated. But I became interested in his life when in 1977 he contributed 2 chapters to a book which created a furore when it was published, The Myth of God Incarnate. I'm not going to talk about that book here, only to say that in time Goulder decided that holding the views he did about the incarnation and the resurrection, he should resign his orders. I admired his honesty and courage, but I don't think he was right. I think you can be a Christian and a Christian priest and not think there was a physical resurrection and incarnation. Some of that I've argued in my video, A Radical Christian. And in the description, I put a reference to a much longer video about him from an evangelical perspective. Whatever your views, I hope you'll find Michael Goulder's life and biblical studies interesting.